Hey guys, this is Zach Smith and welcome to the fourth and final tutorial of how to make a one-way email client. Today, for this tutorial we are going to make a window that will allow the users to validate who they are, their email credentials. So to start off, what we're going to do, we're going to come over here to our project and we are going to add a new item. Actually we're just going to take a shortcut. We're going to say add new window. Make sure WPF is made and we're just going to call it user credentials. Seems pretty straightforward. And then what we're going to do, we are going to size this so about that big. We don't want it too big, we don't want it too small. And over here in the title, just add a space just so it doesn't look as weird. And what we're going to do next is we're going to come over to the toolbox and we are going to add a group box. And this group box is going to take up just about the entire page, or the entire window. The header, we're just going to have it called credentials. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a label, and we're actually going to copy paste that so we have two labels. We'll get these situated. That looks about good. The first one we're going to have is email. And the second one we're going to have is password, obviously. And then what we're going to want to do is just line these up so their colons meet. I know that sounds weird, but bear with me. Next we're going to add a text box. We're just going to make sure everything's well centered. Drag this over. And what we're going to name this will be our email field. Okay. And then next for our password, we're actually going to come down and Windows has created this nice password box. And what this is pretty much a text box that will hide the password as you type. If we can just get this centered. Well, that's good enough. So we'll drag that back over, and this will be... Actually, we'll just leave it as password box. I mean, it's the only one of its kind, so that'll be fine. And then next what we're going to have is a button. And this button, I'm just going to plop it down right here on the bottom. And it's going to say log in. And this will be our login button. Alright? So now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our button, and in the events, on the click, what we're going to have it do is we're going to have a call to a method called login that we're going to make right now. What we're first going to do is up here, we're going to have a private dictionary, and it's going to hold a string as its key and value, and we're going to call it credentials. And then down here, what we're first going to check is we're going to check to see if the email field dot text, we're actually going to do string dot is null or empty. So if it's that, what we're going to do is we're going to say message box dot show please enter an email. And we're actually just going to leave it like that. No need to get all fancy unless you really want to. No big deal. And then we're going to say return. Let's just format this a little bit better. Okay. And then we're going to check to see if string.is null or empty, and we're going to check the password box dot password. And if that is empty, we're going to say message box dot show please enter a password. Return. Now what we're going to do, after those two pass, we're going to say credentials equals new dictionary. Alright? And then in here, we're going to say credentials sub username equals email field dot text and credentials sub password equals password box dot password. Alright, so now we pretty much have a way to toss back and forth what was typed in this box, but we don't really have a way to get it over to our main window, our email window. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a static method, public static dictionary string string, and we're going to call this method get credentials. Excuse me, can't really spell today. And what this is going to do is when you call it, it's going to start up a new user credentials window and return the credentials property. So let's do that right now. So what we're going to do, we're first going to say, actually we could probably do this in one line. Let's try it. Return new user credentials dot, actually I apologize, we cannot. Let's just do this. Var prog equals new user credentials prog dot show dialog, and then we're going to say return prog dot credentials. Alright, easy enough. So then when we come over here, this one, in our main window, we're going to add a method that we're going to call public void log on. And what this is going to do, we're actually going to call it right here, just so you get an idea. Before the window pops up, what's going to happen is we're going to say is enabled equals false. So the main window where we're going to write our emails is going to be disabled. And then we're going to say that, actually we need to add something right here, and that's going to be a private string username and password. So what we're going to do, we're going to have just a temporary dictionary. So we're going to say var cred equals user credentials dot get credentials. And then down here we're going to say username equals cred sub username. I believe that's what we called it, at least. Oh, with a capital U, excuse me. And then we're going to say password equals cred sub password. And then what we're going to do, we're going to check really quick to before we add these, we're going to make sure that what happens is that the user actually entered in something. So we're going to check to see if cred equals null. And if it does, we're going to say environment.exit with a code of 0. Basically, the program's going to pretty much kill itself, and it's going to tell the operating system that it died naturally. That's fine for our purposes. So now once we've done that, and then we can start adding everything over. What I like to do is I like to say that the from field.text is actually going to equal username. This way they can't change who they're sending it from or who they are, so that'll be nice. And then in order to do that, we're going to say from field dot is enabled equals false. And then we have to enable the email window. So we just say is true, and there we go. Build succeeded. This is failing. It's actually not failing, it's just being stubborn. So don't worry about it too much. Alright, there we go. So if we run it, you will see down here build succeeded, and let's hit F5, and what should happen? Oh, excuse me, one more thing before we do this. If you remember from a previous one, we had put in empty strings for our password. Well, now we can change that. We can throw in password in here rather than an empty string. So now let's run it and see if it works. We're just going to bring this down here, and we're going to say, I'm just going to use my email. We're going to say log in. Huh. Apologize for that. We forgot one more thing that's, I guess, extremely crucial for this. We're going to have to call the close method. Otherwise, the login window just keeps running. So let's try it again. So we run this, and we're just going to put in my email again. And you're not going to know my password. Sorry. Log in and close. And you can see that my email is now there. So now, we're going to send this to myself, just because we can. We're going to say test in the subject, test in the message, and in the attachments, we are just going to add in, let's use my resume. Why not? I'm probably not going to open it for you guys. Sorry. So when we hit send, the file name cannot be an empty string. Huh. Well, looks like it failed for some reason. Yes. So let's see. Somewhere in the email it failed. And we had it. I apologize for that. So I guess what happened, we actually don't need this. It's adding it a few times, and it's not what we want. Everything is already being added to the attachments list up here. So what we're actually going to do, we're just going to get rid of that part and see how that works. So now we're going to rerun it. Just going to try this again, see if it works. Oh, typing without typing. Alright, we're going to say test, test, and in the attachment, we're just going to come down here, hit send. Got some breakpoints in here. And the message was sent. We hit OK. And boom. We'll open this back up, or I guess up for the first time. When it loads, and there is our email. The only part we have to do now is change this because the emailer isn't responding anymore. So basically, we come back into here, and at the very bottom, we're just going to say is enabled equals true. And that should take care of all your problems. And yeah, that'll about do it for the email client. Thanks for watching, and if I have any more, tune in. Thanks a lot, you guys.